Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Daf Yomi, Masechet, Batra Daf Zayin Amud Aleph 97a. Says the Gemara. The Gemara says as follows. Okay, we were just speaking about the temet that you're going to be chayav ma'asorot or not. So al kalo plige, right? So says the Gemara. Until now, there's no machloket of liktemi nato, which means you found the exact same liquid that you put in. You put in a mashke, the exact same oto davar, ze ma shematzata. That's what you found. Aval yoter michtemi nato lo plige. But if there's more, so then everyone's going to say that it's considered yain because then it came out and it took out wine from the sediment. Even if it's says the Gemara, even if it's going to be more, it's still a machloket. So why did they only have the machloket? Because the bidyuk oto davar ma shesamta. Leodiocha kochod Rabbi Yehuda to teach you the koch of Rabbi Yehuda that he says you're going to be mechayev maaser even in a case where matzah kedei midato. Ba mine Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak bar Rav Chia bar Avin. Ask Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak bar Rav Chia bar Avin. Shmarim sheyesh b'yam taim yain. When you have shmarim that has a tam of yain, mahu, what is the halacha? So Elmaleh, he says, "Misavrat chamrahu." Are you going to tell me that it's chamra? Kiyua be'almahu, right? It's tam. It's just chometz. It's like chamutz. That's all it is. So Tan Rabbanan, we learned in a brayta shmarim shel truma. When you have shmarim shel truma, so he says like this: you put water inside of it. So the Rishon v'sheni, the first and the second one that you did the shmarim is going to be asur. Ushlushi is going to be mutar. Rabbi Meir comes and he says, even the third one, the third temet is going to be b'noten tam. V'shel maaser, the Rishon is going to be asur. Sheni is going to be mutar. Rabbi Meir omer, av sheni b'noten tam. V'shel ekdesh, it's going to be of ekdesh. Shlishi is going to be asur, because it's considered ekdesh. Asur bana. The revi'i is going to be mutar. And Rabbi Meir comes and he says, af revi'i is going to be b'noten tam. So says the Gemara, we have a contradiction. He says, one second, I thought that for Ekdesh, it's always going to be considered Ekdesh. So, I mean, you put water and you took it out. Water, put it out. It's always going to be Ekdesh, right? And it's going to be Asur. It's always going to be Mutari in the first time. So, Kasha Ekdesh, Kasha Maaser. So it says the Gemara, Ekdesh la Kashya, kam b'kedushat haguf, kam b'kedushat damim. It all depends if it's going to be kedushat haguf. So then you're right, it's always going to be kedusha. But if it's only going to be kedushat damim, then not. It's not. It's talking about the money that you only magdish the money of it. So therefore, if it's going to be that this is Ekdesh, Hamid, Shalosh, Arba, Chamesh, Leolam. But if you just say that the money is going to be a kam of Ekdesh, so it's only the money of the first 2-3 times, or it depends, or they mean another shita, how many times? Maaser is also going to be a question. Kan b'maaser v'day, kan b'maaser d'may. It all depends on maaser v'day, maaser d'may. Amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Shimon ben Yotzadak. Says Rabbi Yochanan in the name of Shimon ben Tzadak. Kederech she'amru li'inyan yisuran, kach amru li'inyan hechsheran. Just like they said about the yisur, so too they said about the hechsher. Hechsheran d'may. What are you talking about now? If you're talking about hechshurim mechshiri, in order to be machshir, to be mekabel tumah tiskor, in order to make something susceptible for tumah, כן? להכשיר משהו לקבל tumah, אתה צריך לחשוב על זה, וצריך לקבל אחד מהמשקים, כן? יד שח אדם, אחד מהמשקים. Right? So he says, so if he says, if it's going to be wine, it's already going to be mekabel the tumah. So says the Gemara, lo tzricha shetindu b'mei geshamim. You did it with mei geshamim. And therefore it comes out that according to that, the mayim mechsharim lekabel tumah is only if you thought of having it as a purpose. Here, you didn't have it. So now since you put it into a utensil, you made it important. So says the Gemara, it became tamid me'alav, meaning you didn't put it bechavana there. The rainwater came in and it made it into wine even without you putting it there. So he comes and he says, and since right now the mega shamin is coming one drop at a time, so therefore achshavinu. So you are machshavinu, right? Then you're paying attention to it. So Amar of Papa says, "Bepara shota rishon rishon." When we're talking about the para, it's drinking the temed rishon first time, and then there's more rain, and then the second time, and it continues going. So Amar Zutra Baratuv Yamarav En Omrim Kiddush Hayom El Yain. I really misech b'zach. Do you know that when you want to do Kiddush Hayom, you could only do it on wine sheraui linasech al gabei hamizbeach, right? Zodomenet Kiddush Hayom, mamash, it's got yain. As long as you're able to do, right, and he says, no, it has to be kiddush, that it's mamash, that you cannot put it on the mizbeach. He says, if you cannot put it on the mizbeach, it's a problem. So he says, what are you coming to explain? We already said, don't bring it to the kasher, it's still kosher. So if you brought in, it's going to be kosher. So then we should do it. So yain migito is about chalat process. We're talking about the beginning of the process when it's going to ferment. As im נכון, לכתחילה אל תביא את זה למזבח, אבל אם אתה כבר הבאת למזבח, זה כשר. אז אם בדיעבד זה כשר למזבח, אז בשבילנו אפילו לכתחילה מותר לשתות את זה בשביל קידוש היום. כן? צדיק זין ומובט, כן? 97b. So he says, ואמר רבא says, סוחט אדם אשכול ענבים, ואומר לב קידוש היום. You could just even squeeze it and say קידוש. So obviously, what are we talking about then? So ואלה ברדר למיעוט מפיה ומשוליה. We're coming to exclude מפיה ומשוליה חבית, from the top and from the sides of the chavit. V'atani revchia mipia mishuleh lo yaviv. He may be kasher, but if you did bring it, right, you're going to be kasher. But rather, he says ve'ela lemiyute yain kushi. It's going to come to exclude yain kushi, which means very, very dark wine, borek, or very light wine, helistion. What is this? He says yain matok v'chalash me'od. It's like sweet wine, but very, very weak. Martef or tzimukim. He says, wait a second. In all these things, you're not supposed to bring it. It's going to be kosher. So he says, you're right. It's coming to exclude yain kosem, yain which is becoming chometz. The mazug v'meguleh. Right? Mazug is that it's when they put the water, or meguleh. It's got a bad smell, because we said in all these things you don't bring it, but if you did bring it, it's pasul. כל דבר שזה פסול בדיעבד על המזבח, אז אנחנו לא יכולים להשתמש בשביל קידוש. Right? That means if you can't use it בדיעבד even, so you can't use it for קידוש. למיעוטה מאי, what is it coming to exclude? אי למיעוטה כוסס, if you're going to tell me it's going to exclude wine which is becoming vinegar, it's a מחלוקת רבי יוחנן ומשום בלוי. If it's going to be excluding mazug that you poured water into it, aluya is still fine. You're supposed to put water inside of it. If you're going to come to exclude that it was meguleh means that it's revealed, sakanai. What's the case? If you're going to put 3 and then you take out 4, it's a regular wine. And if you put 3 and you took out 3.5, so that's machloket, Rabbanan and Acherim. Rather, it's coming to exclude if it's got a bad smell. Meaning, in yesh reach ra, it's a bayati. Or if you want, you can answer, really is coming to exclude meguleh. That means even though you put it on misanenet. So to a minute, what was meguleh? Meguleh is it's revealed. Ulay nachash ba, maybe a snake came and you put its poison. You put it on misanenet to check that it's clear. There's nothing there. So he says, because זה עדיין, זה יהיה מותר, כאילו. רב נחמיה comes and he says, אפילו אחי, הקריבנו על פחתך, היא צריכה יישא פניך, meaning, כשאתה מביא משהו לקדוש ברוך הוא, תביא מהכי טוב. You're bringing something to Hashem, bring it from the best. So therefore, when you're going to bring it to his entrance, right? So he says to your sar, you're going to do it the best. Okay? The last question. What about yain lavan? Elmaleh al tere yain ki tadam. The pasuk says, lechatchila, you bring red, not lavan. Right? Kankanim b'sharon, tana pistot, naot, migrafo. We're talking about kankanim, right, which are very bad. And therefore he comes and he says, but we're talking about the very nice ones. So he says the chaviot shvurot, you don't accept it at all. And then we continue from the Mishnah tomorrow.